I'm one of those people where I give everything my 100%. I refuse to fail in the music industry. So like, I'm very confident in the fact that we're going to be extremely successful because I refuse to fail. Hey, it's Sophia from Torn Open and you're watching CMS TV.
It is Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin, and anybody that follows this show knows I love it heavy. They do not make it heavy enough for me. My two favorite records of the moment are the brand new one from Embryonic Autopsy, Rise of the Mutated, and then this one, Torn the Fuck Open, Volume 2. It is by the band Torn Open, and here to tear it open is the vocalist, Miss Sophia DeMasi. Sophia, how are you?
I'm doing really great. How about yourself?
I am good. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I did not know very much about your band, if anything, even a month ago. But
Listen, that's awesome though. We're always happy to see new fans. Like whenever we play shows and stuff, and I'm like, who here isn't familiar with us? And I'm like, don't be embarrassed. Like tell us, hello. Like we love you. Thank you.
we'll talk about that for a little bit, Sophia, before we get into the music itself. You do, for people that don't know, which was me even a month ago, you guys do, it's labeled as deathcore, but I think when you compare it to the rest of the deathcore that's coming out today, you guys are a lot more intense and a lot heavier. So it's sort of in that zone between deathcore and death metal in my mind. Where is it for you, and how does it get to be there from you?
Um, for in my mind, it's like melodic death metal with like groove metal in it for
Okay.
me. Yeah, that's like what I feel. I mean, it's definitely like super extreme. Like, it's got that like deathcore part to it. And I mean, we all have like a lot of like death metal influences. Like we've even been going like a little bit slammy lately. I don't even know. It's like a whole cacophony of everything, but we make it work and I'm cool with it. But definitely we have like a lot of I think our roots are from deathcore and groove metal for sure. That's like
Okay.
where our roots are.
Sure. Do the labels hurt you at all?
What do you mean? Like,
As far as if people don't like traditional deathcore, they might not listen to what you do and understand that you're not quite that.
oh, okay, yeah, sorry, my bad. I thought you meant did the labels hurt you? I was like, nah, the record label
No,
didn't
no,
they
no,
haven't
no.
touched us or anything. I was like, wait, what? No, honestly, I I don't know. I think if anything, they've helped us because I was very easily to like or easily able to like lump us into the MySpace revival because like that, I put us on that bandwagon and I was like, all right, guys, we're going up. And then it's still a little bit different. So now that we've gotten lumped into that group, kind of, the revival. I mean, obviously, like it's still the production style and like, a lot of the riffs, like it still does sound like revival deathcore. But my vocal style is a little bit different, the writing style is a little bit different, the drumming style, like, we there's just like some slight differences that make it stick out. So now we're kind of the outlier in a group and it's worked to our advantage, because now like we have the opportunity to hear from people like you who say like, like it's a little bit different, but it's cool. It's really cool. And that was the intention for sure. It ended up working out in our favor.
Right on. Well, with doing this style of music, there's always that weird line. It's never going to be on the radio per se, never going to hear you next to Pearl Jam as an example, but it has its own underground place. And obviously you're a professional band. You want to make money doing it.
Correct, yeah.
But at the same time, you can't stray too close to that or else people will call you a sellout immediately. So where is that line for you and for the band, not just you, but for the band as far as being dangerous versus being marketable?
I don't know if I find it to be a line as much as I find it to be a balance. Like, for
Okay.
example, like, we did sign to a record label pretty early. but also we're very personable and we like make a point to like connect with people online and like, not put ourselves on this sort of like platform. And I think, as long as like you kind of maintain this balance of like, like you could go crazy with it, but like you can also kind of, I don't know, or sorry, let me rephrase that. Let me start over.
Okay.
There's no shame in you know, doing like sellout moves, as long as you're good people. And as far as like, being super extreme and like, the song not being on the radio or something like that, that's fine. You could do that, but also just like make sure you have draw from elsewhere. Or there is like, an easy accessible way to like hear your band or like connect with the band. Like if, you might be like less likely to be on the radio or something like that. Like I think a great example of that is Sanguisugabogg. They're not on the radio. Their band name's so difficult to remember, but
Sure.
everyone knows them as like a funny band online. And I
Sure.
think that's kind of what my goal has been, even like out the gate. I mean, like I have like very little filter when it comes to social media anyway. Like it's fun. Like come on, the duck emoji is as big as the car, nothing serious on here. But I've been using that to my advantage and like, I make like a lot of like jokes and stuff like that online. So we'll get like draw from there too. If, people maybe don't like the music as much or how grotesque the videos and images are as much. They can still be like, ah, all right, I like these guys are kind of funny, so stuff like that. But yeah, I think there's no shame in accepting help if it's offered to you. Like, we signed early, but like for good reason. Like they really wanted us, yes, and they're
Mhm.
very invested in us, and they're proving to us that they're very invested in us. And now we have like really cool opportunities like this, and it's working. And we stay down to earth. We care about our audience. We care especially about like our locals and our day one, and we make a point of that too. And like we go out of our way to make sure that these people feel seen and cared for and like not forgotten about, So and it works. It's really cool.
Very cool. Well, let's dig into the music a little bit. I'm gonna kind of ask you about both records a little bit because
Yeah, of
the
course.
obvious Torn Fuck Open Volume One really didn't come out that long ago, and for a
No.
lot of people, they're probably doing just what I did, which is putting them both together and just listening through. So let me start there. Was this one session that you purposely broke into two, or are there two different writing sessions and recording sessions involved here?
So we do this thing where we write songs and then we get impatient and then record them and release them.
Okay.
So that's like exactly what happened. Like we had like four songs and we were like, all right, let's release it. And then we literally None So Vile, like the single, it's not connected to anything. We literally went into the studio to record one song for, the sake of recording one song, and we were like, all right, let's release it, and then we recorded another for him. We're like, okay, we'll do an EP.
Mhm.
Like we're just pretty eager to put music out for sure. Um, but yeah, it's been really cool. I like the whole like, volume aspect of the EPs. It's fun, it's quirky.
Well, and the thing that's unique about it is it really does flow well. So you've either found where you're going to be, or you've at least found where you are at this, probably 2 year window of Torn Open. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's actually some really significant differences from like, our first release from the second one. So like our first release, we didn't fully have like our complete lineup. Like, three out of four of those songs, or sorry, two out of four of those songs were written with our like old drummer and old bassist and recorded with our new drummer. He kind of made it his own, but we didn't have like, our now current bassist at that point. Like our guitarist recorded bass like for that and like it wasn't really us yet. And None So Vile, like that came out in the middle of these two releases, the single. That was like the first thing we really wrote together where it was like we all of us wrote it, like including, our bassist was like technically our newest acquisition. He came in like January of 2025.
Okay.
So that was really the first thing where we like really all wrote it together and we were like getting pretty comfortable. And now volume two is the first like body of music that we've all written all together. And like, you can hear just how much better we got from volume one to the single to this EP. Like we've really settled into it. Like, it's cool to hear that it flows well. I would have thought the opposite because I think we sound so much better now. Like in my vocals, at least personally, they're so different. I sound very different, but like for good reason. I sound better,
Sure.
So
Well, and it
that's,
might sound different to you too because you're so close to it.
well,
You're
yeah.
you're so close that you can hear the slightest off scream or whatever, be like, oh yeah, I would redo that again in a minute.
Yeah, no, I'd redo that entire EP again in a minute. That
And you'll
first
tell
one.
me this a year from now about this EP. That's how
Oh
that
yeah, no,
works.
I'll tell you that right now about this EP. I'll go back and do it again. Yeah, like
Very good. Well, let's dig into to the music a little bit. Obviously, I want to start with what I think is the most confrontational song on it, which is "The Way Things Should End." You know, politically charged, which I don't know how you feel about it. I'll say for me personally, I'm fine with politics in the music. If you say it where you're supposed to say it, that's cool. I don't need to be preached at. I don't think a lot of people do. I don't think you do from what I saw, looking on online. I didn't see a whole lot of you need to vote this way or that. I didn't see that from you. How important is it for you to have a message beyond, that is real, but at the same time not turn it into, well, I'm a preacher and the music's just one way I tell you what to do. Look at your screen right now. If you're tired of the hide and seek games with big tech, where links disappear and episodes get throttled, I've got the fix. I'm Chris Akin, and it's time for me to show you how to take back your access to the Classic Metal Show, the Seth Williams Show, and Chris Akin Presents. Pick up your phone, go to the App Store or Google Play, and download the Locals app. It is 100% free. Once you're in, just search for the CMS network. You're going to see everything. Every interview, every unfiltered rant, every deep dive music discussion, every uncensored news article we put up, all in one centralized, uncensored hub. No more chasing links across 5 different socials. This is our home. But if you really want the keys to the kingdom, look for that VIP upgrade. For just $4.99 a month, you're cutting out the commercials, getting the advanced drops before anyone else, and accessing bonus episodes that are way too heavy, dirty, or we just don't want to share with the free public. For the price of a cheap beer, you're supporting independent, unapologetic media. Download the Locals app today. Get some CMS wherever you are. And if you're a real one, join the VIP squad at classicmetalshow.locals.com. The Classic Metal Show and the CMS Network. It's uncensored, it's unapologetic. We will see you there.
well, first of all, I think like, I have very strong beliefs, but I don't think being a preacher, that doesn't work. It's not very particularly effective. So if I want to like reach people that, gathering this large platform in front of me and just being like, you like me, you like my music, now you have to think this way. Like that's not going to be effective in like, changing anybody's beliefs. But I would say to me, it kind of like I'm very passionate about, a lot of things. Like, you can obviously hear it in the EP politically. Like, I one of the specific things that I talk about a lot pretty consistently is the climate and like, Mother Nature. I'm a huge climate advocate. Like, that's like really a big, big, big thing for me. But a lot of the times it can be very overwhelming because we're bombarded with like all this news all the time and we're
Mm-hmm.
constantly in like this state of panic. Our poor amygdala attacks, like like our poor amygdalas are just like they've had enough at this point. Our
Right.
nervous systems are just truly broken down. So I like to think of it as like, all right, this is the way I can comfortably contribute my opinion in a way that's like effective and like can reach people, like I'm not I don't know, there's a lot of martyrdom that surrounds I don't even know, like protesting and speaking up and like, and it's like, oh, well, if you're not doing enough and like you should be doing more, like obviously, like, yes, like, I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody has the capability to do like lots and lots of wonderful things. But I also
Sure.
think, it can be really easy to burn yourself out with how, just like terrible everything going on around us is. So I think if we all find a way where we can comfortably and consistently contribute to whatever, beliefs like we have or like, be an activist in a way that works for us where it's sustainable, then
Mm-hmm.
do it. And for me, that's like writing music and like talking on these podcasts and stuff like that because, it's not going to wear me down. Like this is like a really comfortable outlet for me to
Sure.
to speak on a lot of these things and stuff like that and like have it be effective and continue to keep doing it, and and as the platform gets bigger, cool. I'm glad, but I'll share how I feel about a lot of things, like, but
Hmm.
I won't force it upon anybody by any means. Like,
Sure.
we have listeners of all types, like, but and I think we're very strongly opinionated, that's for sure. But
Oh yeah.
again,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna like shove it on anybody, but I will be loud about what I believe for sure.
Sure. And in a way, there's plenty of examples out there of artists, and specifically in this more extreme music, that have burned their bridge by being too much out. OTEP comes to mind right off the top of my head. I mean, she has strong opinions, and it kind of ruined her career because people started caring more about her opinions than her music, and then that was kind of it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's not my goal, but
Sure.
I also I'm not one of those people who doesn't think music, or like I think music does belong in I mean, sorry, politics belongs in music. Like, music is
Sure.
inherently political, art is inherently political. It's like inherent, it's counterculture. So,
Hmm.
like, this kind of music, it's counterculture. So for you to be an enjoyer and a consumer of this type of music, you're engaging in counterculture. So a lot of the time, these kind of beliefs are going to be like, you know, poised alongside, the kind of music, and like these messages are going to be there, and they're going to be pretty present the more extreme, you go.
Right. Definitely. With this release, and obviously volume one as well, how much has the band grown so far as on the national scale, and how far do you expect it to get? I mean, everybody wants to sell a zillion records and tour stadiums, but I mean, there's the realistic aspect of this music's so heavy that most people are probably not gonna put 80,000 people in a stadium night after night after night. You know what I mean?
I think we could do it. Honestly,
There you
nothing
go.
but
All right.
passion. Like, I really, I'm one of those people where I give everything my 100%. I refuse to fail in the music industry. So, like, I'm very confident in the fact that we're going to be extremely successful, because I refuse to fail. And I think we've been growing a lot,
Sure.
lately. I think, we've been very strategic about our approach to like how we've been marketing ourselves, and, giving it obviously significantly more commitment. And, the dates like around the country have been really helping a lot too, the exposure. But paired alongside, like, stuff like this, where Blue Grape gives us the opportunity to, like, do marketing through like interviews that we find, like, such as this one, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. It's been assisting it a lot too. It's making our audience is more varied now, like, like, rather than just like a bunch of kids on Instagram, which is really cool. And it's very necessary too, if you want, like, a good, like, stable, well-rounded fan base. But yeah, I have full confidence that we will be next to Suicide Silence on bills at one point.
There you go.
And like, I don't mean to sound arrogant. I just, like,
No,
I refuse to let it happen. Like anything else happen. Like, like, that's going to happen. That will be in our future, and I will make it happen. Whatever it takes to make it happen, will be done.
sure. Right on. Well, I'm going to ask you sort of variation of one that I'm sure you're sick of answering 1,000 times, but it is a variation.
You're fine.
Obviously, you're going to get hit with the women in metal question. I'm sure you get it at every single interview. And I don't want you to compare yourself to Ginger and to whoever, Alyssa, because whatever. You're you. My question is, with it being so much more accepted than probably ever for extreme music, to have a female front person, do you feel pressure to represent something bigger than yourself now, as it has stopped being such a novelty, to where now you can just look at it and say, well, I'm a singer and that's it, and judge me for that and that only.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm kind of happy that that's the shift. Like, I really don't feel the need to like market myself based off, like, my sex or my gender. Like,
Hmm.
I think it's just counterproductive, and it's strange in my opinion, honestly. It's really cool. I've definitely noticed a difference, like, compared to, I used to play drums in a death metal band,
Oh
and
yeah.
the band was comprised of all women. And the way I got treated in that band versus Torn Open, it was like night and day. Like, I hear some comments here and there about, like, how, like, my abilities like have to do with my gender, or like, they will mix the two things into one comment where one is very obviously related to the other. And like, in a sort of derogatory way, like, I hear that, but like, it's not nearly as bad as what I experienced before. And if anything, I would argue to say that Depending on the group, it's not really that much better. Like I like torn open. I thankfully haven't really received anything like crazy in terms of comments, but it when I was in, the death metal band on drums with like a group of like, four women, it was weird. It was bad. It was really bad. Like I received like an 8 paragraph essay about how I should like, have like terrible things done to me and should like die.
Jeez.
And it's terrible. I would receive terrible comments. I'd have like creepy men. Like it was, I don't know. I think it just depends on what you're looking at. I think for front people, for like women
Mhm.
in a band of men, it's like you're in the clear and like good. Like, I don't think you should brand yourself on being a woman. Like it's stupid. Like, it's like asking, how does it feel being in a boy band? Like,
Right.
how does it feel being a boy in music? I
Yeah.
don't like, how are you supposed to fucking answer that? Like that, it's but there's still a lot of like rampant misogyny. It's just like, I think people feel more comfortable doing it to groups of all women when there aren't men present or younger girls. And, I've received so much of it when I was like 17, 18, all the way till I was like 20, you know.
Who's worse, guys or girls?
Oh, guys, 1,000,000%.
Okay. All
Oh
right.
my God, yeah, no, women are so nice. They're so supportive. I like have run into so many weird dudes. And I've also run into so many wonderful people too, which I'm so grateful for. Like, I've met so many awesome people, but yeah, like I've received my fair share of comments and experiences that were like, less than ideal.
Right. I hear you. Well,
Yeah,
am I right in understanding that you also are a tattoo artist? Is that correct?
that is correct, yes.
Yo, metalheads! You ready to let the beast out of its cage? This ain't just an album. This is Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast. The riffs hit harder, the bass thunders deeper, Dickinson's voice rips your soul in half. Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name, the title track that made Eddie immortal. Every track sounds like it's straight from the devil's own amp. Crank it to 11 and feel the power that defined heavy metal. Don't walk. Run to the link at the bottom of the screen and grab this beast right now before it sells out.
So speaking of running into some odd people, I imagine you run into some there as well. What is the difference as far as, I mean, obviously music and tattoos are two different industries, but a lot of the same people kind of partake in both, yes?
Yeah, for sure. It's actually really cool. Most of my clients are people who like come see Torn Open,
Okay.
which is really awesome. It's so cool. But yeah, honestly, I think when it comes to tattoo clients, like it's similar to like any sort of customer service job where it's like you're gonna have that one person where every once in a while, every few days, where it's like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Or like a client will just like say something really weird or like engage in a behavior where it's like, what are you doing? Or or they'll like jip ya or something like that.
Mhm.
So I do see a lot of that. And it's definitely like I, I don't know, I don't get as many creeps there because getting a tattoo means you have to pay money.
True.
You don't have to pay money to make a weird comment to somebody passing by, but you
Right.
do have to pay money to be in my tattoo chair. So that weeds a few people out.
Sure. No doubt. Now, one more quick tattooing question. I'm sorry, and I'll get back to the music
Oh,
here in a
of
second,
course.
but
I'm happy to answer these all.
I'm always curious. Like I'm an older guy, as you can obviously see by the white beard and whatnot, but I I try to accept basically everything I see. And at times though now I see people that I personally am like, wow, way too much with the tattoos. And that's both men and women. I watch a lot of like bare knuckle boxing and fighting and UFC and stuff, and they're all tattooed. Everybody's tattooed. And some of it's cool and some of it's not. As a tattoo artist, do you ever look at somebody and say, you know what? Maybe you got enough here. Or are you always like, oh no, there's still a little piece of skin here. We can get something on.
So, here's how I kind of assess it. I mean, if it's somebody who looks like they're very young and they're coming and getting like a lot of impulsive tattoos, like and covering, getting like sort of like rushing straight to like a face tattoo or a neck tattoo when they don't have many other ones, I'd be more concerned for their like well-being and like want to make sure they're okay because that's like a very impulsive thing to do.
Sure.
But other than that, I've never thought anybody's tattoos or body modifications for too much because were too much because it's not my body. Like it's theirs.
Mm-hmm.
They did it for a reason. It made them happy, and it affects me. Like it doesn't affect me at all. Like, so
Okay,
why would I even judge them? Like, if they feel happy and they feel beautiful and they are leading like, a successful life, or, maybe their life is affected, whatever, like that, again, that's their choice. It doesn't affect me. Like, so who am I to say anything? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense. If anything, it's just like me being unnecessarily negative. Like for sure everybody has like, preferences and style and like, like for
sure.
example, like I like fine line more than I like American traditional, like, but that's my preference about me. I'm not going to sit there and be like, nah, I think this person's tattoos look bad and I don't think they should have their eyeballs tattooed. I'll be like, like they probably think that's really cool. Never seen that before. I don't know. It's something new to me. It's a little weird. I think it's kind of cool though, but I'm sure they're totally happy. And I would never judge anybody for anything like that.
Sure. Is there anything you wouldn't do as the artist?
Um, I'm not tattooing genitalia. No
What
way.
about eyes? You mentioned it. I'll ask it.
I don't know if I like if somebody asked me, and I would say I would want like another few years in the industry, but if I like figured, if I did enough research on it and like practice it enough and like felt confident doing, yeah, I'd do it.
God, you're braver than me. I'd be
Yeah,
scared to
like what
death
the
of
hell?
blinding
Like
them.
I mean, yeah, I guess so, but like you kind of sign a waiver when you come in, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, you still don't want to do it, does it? You still don't want to blind somebody
yeah,
whether they
I would
sign a piece of
obviously
paper
I
or
wouldn't want to
not.
blind somebody, but that's why I'm saying only really if I felt like very confident in it and I had like more experience and like research to feel confident in the procedure for sure.
Right on. Well, let's swing back to Torn Open for a second here. Obviously, you have a new release. You have a still recent previous release. You have a one song in between, so you have quite a few things. Where does that leave you on the touring circuit? Are you getting out there? Are you getting some opportunities to get out there? Where are we at?
Yeah, for sure. So we just finished a New England run at the
Okay,
beginning of this month. It's funny, we did the run. My bassist and I are coming home to graduate college, and then we're going back on the road.
nice,
But we're going again. We're going through like the Midwest at the end of this month. We're leaving in like just over a week, so that means like Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and then we're gonna curve through part of New England. So, we're gonna hit Boston, we're gonna hit Connecticut, and then we're gonna stop back home in New Jersey. I think the tour continues down to like Philadelphia and DC, but once we get back to NJ, I think we're done with that run. But and then in June we're going to Indianapolis, and then also after that we're going to Milwaukee to play Milwaukee Metal Fest, very
nice.
beginning of June. And July we're hitting the road with Heavy Hitter. We're doing like, a good chunk of the East Coast. So
Okay.
we've got a lot going on. We have plans for the fall too, but I think right now, like in between performances, like once our live performance is, pretty much solidified. Like we have like a very good idea. So I think the focus is like when we're home writing,
Mhm.
but we write very quickly, so I'm not really worried about that. But yeah, I miss writing. We've been on the road a lot, so I want to write. But
Right
all these
on.
performances, they've been great. Like we love touring. Oh boy, do we love touring. We're all best friends, all five of us in one hotel room every night. I
Nice.
genuinely like wish I had a number for like the milligrams of marijuana consumed like over the course of the last 5 days. Like it's well into the thousands. Like I
Nice.
don't anymore. But yeah, like we party hard, we play hard though. Like we show up, but we
Right.
still have fun and we enjoy it and we make the best of it and we're all best friends. So we like, it's never difficult to have a good time.
Right on, as it should be. Well, Sophia, on this show, we tell everybody if you're going to stream it, okay, give it a listen, but buy something.
Yes,
Buy
buy
something.
something.
It doesn't matter what shirt, hat, album, vinyl, CD, whatever it is, buy something to keep the band on the road and keep them ability to be on the road. I'm going to guess Bandcamp. Tell me if that's not the best place to send them. Where should we send
So
people?
we like have music for sale on Bandcamp, but right now through Been There Seen That Records, we have CDs, tapes, and t-shirts up for sale as a limited release. We also have them on the Blue Grape website. And then when we get home, we're gonna put up the tour leftovers of merchandise. So like crop tops, sweaters, t-shirts, hats, beanies, like all that stuff. But if you're looking to order something right now, I would snag even the bundle, the cassette, the CD and the shirt. They're all really cool. The cassette's like bright pink. The CD's got like this whole thing on the inside. It's got all the lyrics in there and all the cool stuff, like super cool artwork. And the t-shirt, it's specific to volume 2. It's got like the logo and the gradient of the blue and the guy in the gas mask like holding the bunny. It's really cool. So yeah, that's all definitely places you could support us. Again, I've been there, seen that records, and also on the Blue Grape website. But we will have stuff up on Big Cartel probably when we get
Okay.
home.
Excellent. Well, a lot going on with the band. The band is torn open. The record, how old am I? The release is Torn the Fuck Open, Volume 2. And Sophia, this has been fun. Thanks for joining me here on Chris Akin Presents.
Thank you so much.
Follow the chaos. The Classic Metal Show is live on X. Stream all the episodes for free, watch the show live every Saturday night, or just get there and find out what is going on with the Classic Metal Show. Get your metal feed, x.com/CMS Rocks.